Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our webinar on taking Indian sports businesses to the global arena. This webinar is being organized in partnership with the Sports Goods Export Promotion Council. The webinar will be covering the outlook of the sports goods sector, a presentation on facilitation by Exim Bank, and an experience sharing session by the Indian exporters of sports goods and toys. May I now request Mr. Tarun Diwan, Executive Director, Sports Goods Export Promotion Council, for his introductory remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone, to all the participants and to all the panelists. As you're all aware, the Export-Import Bank of India was set up in 1982 based on the need for a specialized export credit agency for India and the role of international trade in India's economic development. Today, it serves as a growth engine for Indian businesses and offers a range of products and services. This includes import of technology and export product development, export production, export marketing, pre-shipment and post-shipment credits, and overseas investments. The services offered by Exim Bank have evolved over a period of time. It has evolved from product-centering approach with export credits to a more customer-centering approach by offering a comprehensive range of products and services to empower the businesses. The bank's mission is to facilitate globalization of Indian businesses. Besides export credit, the Exim Bank today offers services like marketing advisory services, research analysis, and export advisory services. To learn more about their services, we have with us today the senior management team of Exim Bank. I would like to welcome Mr. N. Ramesh, Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Pralathan Iyer, Chief General Manager, Mr. David Sinate, Chief General Manager, and Mr. T.D. Sivakumar, General Manager. So without taking any more time, I'll hand over to the team to start the presentation and enlighten you on the services that the Exim Bank is offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diwan. I would now like to request Mr. N. Ramesh, Deputy Managing Director, India Exim Bank, to deliver the welcome remarks to our audience.
Thank you, Mr. Tarun Devan. Good afternoon, distinguished participants, industry veterans, and the sports goods exporters, my colleagues from India Exim Bank, ladies and gentlemen. I extend a warm welcome to all of you to this virtual interactive session on taking Indian sports goods business to the global arena. I think we are already there, but there is a need for going in a very big way, expand our existing business. So I'm encouraged by the number of participants. As of now, we have quite a good participation to start with. This clearly reflects the interest in Indian companies to scale up and achieve even larger presence of Indian companies in the international arena. We have today with us the eminent exporters, the chairman, Stag International, Rakesh Kohli, Playcraft Traders CEO, Rajesh Arora, Premchand Plastic MD, Jayesh Khilji. Many other industry doyens are available with us. This Corona or COVID-19 pandemic has impacted our lives like anything, and sports life, where most of the outdoor activities have been kind of stopped. Almost every tournament or a sports event was postponed in the initial days, and of course restarted without the soul being there, that is the spectators being there in the stadium. It has given reasons for us to cheer up, like the recent win of series by Indian cricket team. Of course, we missed the spectacle of Olympics 2020, T20 World Cup, Euro 2020. All these were postponed. Nevertheless, we hope this particular year is going to kick off with all big events. I think the India-Australia series was the one, good pointers towards that. As we are moving towards normalcy, I think the sporting activities are coming back. Most of the relaxations have been permitted by the government of India. I think the latest one being the swimming also being allowed. So with this, I see back to normalcy in the sports arena and the demand for the sports goods going up again. Sports goods manufacturing in India, I think it is a centuries-old tradition. We have this clusters of Jalandhar, Meerut, Gurgaon playing a very big role in our sports goods exports. Of course, we have been exporting, and the current exports is in the range of $280 million. There is a larger scope to grow. We have a very small share in the total world exports. Government of India has been doing a lot on this front. On the policy front, the FDI policies have been relaxed. The local sourcing requirements have been stringently being, enforced. So there is a renewed interest in people in taking up sports, and the new entrants into this field have been quite active and promoting uptake of sports as a part of lifestyle. I think this particular webinar is going to give us a better direction and give more insights in to overcome the difficulties and then restart our businesses. If not post-COVID, the normal situation going to come back in 2021. As part of Exim Bank, we had been supporting Indian exporters through our various programs. Of course, many of the participants in this particular seminar had been our partners in the banking business. We have launched a very new program called Ubarte Sitare program, trying to address the needs of the SME players who are doing good in domestic front, but can also do wonders in the export segment as well. One of the key takeaways from this webinar is also to find out such players and then lend whatever support required from the Exim Bank side, either financially, technically, or on a hand-holding basis also. In today's workshop, my colleagues from Indian Exim Bank would be providing more details on the financing options available for the industry. Without taking much time, I wish the best, and I would request the moderator to take over and then begin the session. Wish you best of luck.
Thank you, sir, very much for your remarks. We now have Mr. Prahlatan Iyer, Chief General Manager, Research and Analysis, India Exim Bank, to give us an overview and potential of the sports goods industry. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh, for this welcome remarks, Mr. Tarun Diwan, and other members of the sports goods industry. This is a very brief presentation. Of course, many of the contents of this presentation may be well known to the audience here, but still we are adding a little bit value to this, and we are giving our perspectives to the export potential of Indian sports goods industry. The structure presentation is to give a global sports goods industry overview, then the sports goods exports from India, which many of the participants may be familiar about it, and some of the recommendations also we feel that this could be helping in lifting the exports of the sports goods from India. So this gives a trend in the global sports equipment market value. This was estimated at about 178.1 billion in the year 2020, and it has grown over the last 5-6 years at a CAGR of about 3.82%. The growth was driven by increase in the awareness about healthy lifestyles, which especially post-corona, many of the population is also realizing it. And also the sporting activity is also kind of a fashion phenomenon, has a fashion phenomenon. So that is also added to it. And especially for the athleisure products, which has a leisure as well as athletic, a combination of both. The market value is expected to reach to about 200 billion by the year 2023. These are the top 10 exporters of the world. China, of course, has about 42% of the world market's export market. and followed by USA. USA is in the distant second, and India is the 24th largest exporter with a share of about 0.6%. And on the import side, if you look at it, USA is a major importer, followed by many of the European and Japanese companies. So simply put it, if you look at it, mostly other than China, if you look at it, mostly the developed nations are the major exporters as well as importers. So that is how the world trade is panning out. So what is the export of sports goods from India? The trends in sports goods is on the left side, the bar charts, which is available. So we have exported in the year 2019-20 about 278.89 million. And the CAGR, if you look at it, it is only about 0.32%. If you just juxtapose the CAGR of the world sporting goods equipment exports or imports, which was about 3%, this 0.32% is only 1/10 of whatever we have achieved. Similarly, the top 10 sports goods exported from India, if you look at it, mostly these are like athleisure products, like articles for Christmas festivities, then other sports goods equipment, then sports nets, leg pads and bats for cricket, because our country follow a lot of cricket. So to some extent, football is also there with a share of about 3.7%. Rugby ball is about 5%. There are other gymnastic and athletic requisites which are about 4%. So this is the pie chart of major export items of Indian sports goods industry. India is net exporter of sports goods. If you look at both export and import, with a trade surplus of about 2.77 million. During 2019-20, exports valued at 181.27 million during the period to April-November 2020-21, which has registered a decline of about minus 10.86%. There is a need for diversification as exports are concentrated in few products. So these are the top export destinations. Like we saw it in the import chart, global importers, like the USA was the major importer. So similar is the case with respect to India's exports also. USA is about 31% of our market, export market. Then followed by UK, Australia. Again, if you look at it, most of them are the developed countries. And where from we are importing, same like the case how it was there in the world export, the pie chart was the world export, where China was the major leading exporter. So here also we are importing most of our sporting equipment from China, which is about 60% of total imports by India. So again, if you look at it, even our sports goods exports also is concentrated only in few geographies. So we need to do diversification. This is all the data, whatever we have taken is from the ITC export potential map and trade map, and we have done a little bit of research, statistical research on this. Based on the trade map and the export potential map of ITC, we have estimated that the export potential or the export potential of the total sports goods is about 140. Each item wise we have given the export potential and also the untapped export potential. So if you look at it, the untapped export potential totals out to about 110 million in the major sports goods items exported from India. So it means that whatever that 200 plus million which we have exported, we have an additional opportunity based on the export potential mapping of the ITC. We have estimated that another 50% or at least 40% could be kind of an untapped export potential, which we could focus on. Here we have given the item-wise how much is the untapped potential. You can clearly see that one is the other sports equipment, which is more like a miscellaneous classification. But if you look at it, the inflatable balls has about 25 million export potential. Then the gymnasium and athletic equipment has about 14 million export potential. So this is how the export potential is existing in many of the major exported items, sports goods exported items from India. So this chart or the table gives the prospective export markets. This is just mapping where we are exporting, where India is exporting, and who are the top importers. If you look at it, the match, if we do a matching of the top export destinations and top importers of the world, you will clearly find that we have not touched Canada and France. Similarly, for the articles for Christmas activities, Christmas festivities, Canada is untouched. Then untouched in the sense the potential is not reached to the extent. Similarly, the rugby ball, which was one of the major item, or the inflatable balls was one of the major items of potential item for export. If you look at it, South Korea, Germany, Japan, these were not the target markets existing, current target markets for India. So these could also be looked at. Then football, again, another inflatable ball. Here, France, Belgium, we have not reached out to. So if you look at it, the several top exporters, importers of the sport goods are not major export destination for India. Thus, we need to diversify our exports towards Japan, France, Canada, South Korea, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium. That could, we would be in a position to tap the untapped export potential. So these are some more items which are given. Again, if you look at it, Germany, Netherlands, France for gymnastic and athletic requisites. Then articles of funfair and games, Hong Kong and Japan. Articles and equipment for table tennis, Japan, France, South Korea. These are the markets we should target. Then the carnival and entertainment articles, Germany, Netherlands. Fishing tackle, poles, Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, France. Gloves for sports, Japan, South Korea, Canada, Italy. So all these data is based on the 2019 year data. So it's only a static data. It is not over a period of time or something, and it is representing the year 2019. So some of the recommendations which we have, one is on the standards of quality and certifications. Major sports goods importers, they require conformity to the labeling requirements, substance tolerance limits, especially the wearables, then the quality requirements and certifications, and also the traceability requirements. We need to adhere to those conformity requirements. For this, we suggest that we need to set up a specialized agency for up-to-date technical guidance, quality assurance guidelines, and import-export compliance evaluation, and also for testing to meet such regulatory requirements in our major markets. The geographical indications for products such as Kashmir willow cricket bats could also be another suggestion that we could achieve towards. The second major strategy is reducing import dependence. China is, of course, the largest source for sport goods imports into India. And also it is a critical inputs for manufacturing such as PVC and PU, and also supply of raw materials which are affected during the pandemic, and also kind of the disengagement the government is planning to have with such large imports from China. So if you look at it, we need to reduce our import dependence. That is one. So we need to increase our manufacturing within the country. Second suggestion is cheap and adequate availability of raw materials, which is very crucial for domestically in order to have a resilient supply chains. Need for greater automation to compete with Chinese imports. So instead of doing anything manual and also into low volume, we need to go for scale, economies of scale and technology upgradation, so that our cost of the marginal cost of marginal unit cost is lower. Higher duties on imports of finished products from China that could be considered to encourage domestic production. And we also recommend that we need to establish a research and development institute for sport goods So we could, in fact, adopt a model which is being adopted in Singapore. Singapore has an institutes for sports research and development, which was set up, which has a kind of research and development wing, designing wing, testing center, and also a training and development. So this is given in the chart. We could adopt the similar model and establish a research and development institute for sports goods in India. The third major recommendation is the average effective applied tariffs of various nations on Indian sports goods. Especially, we have taken one product because in the international trade data, we don't get up to 8 digits. We get only up to 6 digits or maximum of 4 digits. So if we take that, the 95003, if you look at it, the chart clearly depicts that most of the African nations and Latin American nations, you will find that the average tariff level is very high for the Indian sports goods. So we need to engage with these nations, and we need to request them to reduce the tariffs, or we need to enter into FTAs with these regions, and with the objective of reducing tariffs and also enhancing competitiveness of sports goods. The last recommendation is we need to encourage more sports goods clusters. If we look at it, about 80% of our production is concentrated in 2 clusters, which is Meerut and Jalandhar. So we need to undertake feasibility study to find other potential clusters for setting up more sports goods manufacturing units. For that, we may need to have financial incentives and also have efficient logistic networks. Capabilities are getting integrated, and the flexibility in employment contracts, which the government is already working on the labor codes of 3 labor codes, which they have already passed in the parliament. So those are the necessities of creating additional clusters. Infrastructure support is also required under the Micro, Small and Enterprises Cluster Development Program. That is also another requirement. We need to also create awareness through seminars, workshops, and exhibitions to provide market information, global trends, technology developments, non-tariff measures, trade finance, and credit insurance, others. A role of states is also very important. We need to have encouragement through industrial policies of states and the union territories. To cite an example, Mizoram has granted industry status to sports activities. Sports goods manufacturing. Other states could also follow suit to promote investment and generate employment in this sector. So this is the summary of the presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I request Mr. P.D. Sivakumar, General Manager, Business Development Group, to share with us a brief presentation on facilitation provided by Exim Bank of India.
Hello, dear co-panelists, members of Sports Board Export Promotion Council, participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. We have heard our DMD giving introductory remarks and senior colleague giving opportunities for the sports goods manufacturers. Let me make a small presentation about Exim Bank. Just give me a moment to share my screen. For the members of the Sports Goods Export Promotion Council, just want to give a glance of Exim Bank. Exim Bank was set up in March 1981 under an Act of Parliament to finance, facilitate, and promote international trade. We started in March 1982, and we are wholly owned by Government of India. As one of the panel members said in the beginning, Exim Bank offers various products starting from import finance, financing for product development, production, marketing, pre-shipment, post-shipment, and finally investment abroad. Over a period of years, Exim Bank's offering has moved from product-centric to customer-centric approach. And over the years, we have achieved leadership and expertise in international finance. Exim Bank's products can be broadly categorized into export finance and export capability creation. Under export finance, we have some of our niche products like lines of credit and concession financing scheme, bias credit and national expenditure account, and project exports, and non-fund based facilities for all these 3. Under export capability creation, we offer term loans, working capital, and loans for product development, export facilitation, and also investment finance, as well as R&D. We will see some of these programs in little more detail in the subsequent slides. Which again there was a mention about Exim Bank introducing a new program, Udrita Sitare, which was announced by Honorable Finance Minister in the last budget. This is basically to provide international champions in India, foster global companies, small business. And how do we target companies for Udrita Sitare? Our target companies would be small, mid-sized companies with the ability to penetrate global markets, good business model, strong management capabilities focusing on product quality, fundamentally strong companies with good financials and outward orientation, companies with unique value proposition, technology, products, or processes that are matching with global requirements. In fact, while Exim Bank has many programs, I thought we'll only touch upon 2 programs from commercial side, export-oriented units and overseas investment finance. And we also will mention about a few other niche programs. Under export-oriented units, Exim Bank gives financing to export-oriented units. When we say export-oriented units, we mention companies with exports of 5 crores or 10% of the turnover, whichever is lower, from exports. Financing is not only to the companies in the manufacturing, but also in services sector having foreign exchange earnings. The purpose of financing includes setting up of a new unit or expansion models on existing unit. Loans can be given in Indian rupee, US dollars, or any other currency which is available with India Exim Bank. Repayment and tenor can be suitably structured with appropriate moratorium, but generally it does not exceed 10 years, and the promoter's contribution of about 20% is generally stipulated. Some of the examples of what we have done under experience includes financing for Atul Auto for setting up a greenfield project and expansion of their existing plant. Funding for Biological E, again for their vaccine portfolio we had required for developing and putting up a new plant. Balco Bank has supported Bharat Aluminium Company for part financing the expansion of its aluminum smelter capacity in its plant. We also financed Tamil Nadu Newsprint Limited with a term of 200 crores to fund its phase 3 expansion. Under OS Investment Finance, Exim Bank offers various loans to Indian companies for its equity investment or on lending to its overseas venture, be it wholly owned subsidiary or joint venture. For various other reasons, if you look at why companies are going for overseas, either it could be for being closer to the raw material, closer to the end market, or for specific purpose of like acquisition of brand, technology, etc. We have seen in this space a lot of mid-sized companies also go for overseas acquisition and increase their sales and market share. And over a period of years, Exim Bank has given funding to 634 ventures, set up about 475 companies with an aggregate investment of about more than 60,000 crores. During this year, Exim Bank sanctioned funded non-funded facilities aggregating more than 3,000 crores for part financing their OS investments in about 8 countries. Some of the examples what Exim Bank has funded under OS investment finance includes financing to Novelis, which manufactures aluminum products in various markets. We also helped an Indian company, a mid-sized company, I would say, Harsha Engineers to acquire a plant. We also helped a company from Chennai to set up a plant in Morocco in automotive components. We also helped a company in optical fiber cables to acquire a company in UK in the purpose of optical fiber cables. These are some of the other niche programs I will only touch upon, but I will not spend much time. Exim Bank offers lines of credit to various overseas governments to import products and services on deferred credit terms. Some of the examples includes projects in Malawi, Cote d'Ivoire, and Kenya. Concession finance scheme is a variant of lines of credit, again, which is given concession financing. We have funded one project in Bangladesh, which is a very big project called Maitri. Exim Bank also offers Biocredit National Expansions account. It's like a variant of lines of credit, where the project is given on a nomination basis. And until now, we have given more than 3,000 crores of projects. An aggregate amount of $350 million was disbursed in the last year. And we've given an in-principle commitment of more than 3.53 billion, supporting various projects across various regions. Some of the examples includes projects in Zambia transmission line, export of vehicles in Senegal, transport lines in Mauritania. Project export is one of the forte of Exim Bank, where Exim Bank gives loans as well as fund-based and non-fund based to companies in project exports, be it civil, construction, turnkey, or service sector. and we give various facilities, and these are some of the sectors where Exim Bank gives this funding. Examples of products given to these companies include solar project in Egypt, and other project in Guinea, and a hotel project in Sierra Leone. Besides formal funding, Exim Bank also supports grassroots initiatives as well as market advisory services, which again another panelist mentioned. Exim Bank also offers consultants assignments and have a lot of institutional linkages. We have one example where Exim Bank has supported Channapatna Toys. Exim Bank has been supporting artisans who make Channapatna Toys under grassroots initiatives. I think there's no need to introduce Channapatna Toys to this audience. We'll have a small video.
मेरा नाम के यूसुफ है, मैं चन्नापटना से हूं और ये हमारा चन्नापटना टॉयस है। ये हमारे गांव में पूरा 90% सभी यही काम करते हैं। पूरा टोटल हैंडवर्क है और इसका जो वेजिटेबल कलर यूज़ किया हमने, नॉन टॉक्सिक कलर बोलते हैं इसको बच्चे मुंह में लेके भी खेल सकते हैं। हमारे बाप दादा के ज़माने से ये हम इसमें खा रहे हैं, इसी में हम कमा रहे हैं और हमारा घरदार चल रहा है सब। एक्जिम बैंक से हम 5 साल से जुड़े हुए हैं। बहुत अच्छा रिस्पांस है उनका भी, बहुत हमें मदद करते हैं। हर बार आके हमें स्टॉल दिलाते हैं, हमें फ्री स्टॉल मिलता है इनकी तरफ से। इनकी वजह से हमें बहुत अच्छा होता है। इस एग्जीबिशन में बहुत अच्छा रिस्पांस है, बहुत इसको पसंद कर रहे हैं लोग, बहुत खरीदी चल रही है।
What we thought is we can work with others in the 2 programs. One is Ubarta Sitare, where we can identify companies which has potential. We can make very big in international markets, and the commercial credit, which we talked about 2 programs, export oriented units and also investment finance. Yeah, this is a very brief presentation. We'll be happy to interact either during the seminar or after the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Now we move on to the experience sharing session. We already have with us senior level representation from 3 leading players in the industry, which are Stag International, Playcraft Traders, and Premsons Plastics. I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Kohli, Chairman of Stag International, to share his experience.
Thank you so much, Kunal. I really thank Exim Bank and Sports Goods Export Promotion Council to provide me with this opportunity to address this August gathering. Now, this 3.35 or 3.78 year-on-year growth which we have discussed, I think we should not consider it as a growth, because I mean, if we consider the inflation rate and if we say that okay, this was the exports were 1600 crores in 2014 and now it is 2000 crores in 2020, then it is a growth of 25%. But inflation during the corresponding period has been 28%. So which means actually we have not grown, we have gone down. So I think that is a little bit disturbing. But having said that, there is a lot of potential for growth, because internationally, if we see the disposable income at the hands of people, that has gone up quite high in the last 5 years. So if we consider that, then government spending all over across the globe, that is also increasing. Then there is a I mean, if you see internationally or also in India, the awareness for fitness has grown over the last 5 years. Then if we consider I mean, if we consider India, then the performance of Indian athletes has grown, and that has created a better perception from Indian products. Then the awareness of testing in India has gone up. So which means that more and more companies, they are getting their products tested and getting them approved by international buying agencies. So that has also helped. Also, the perception of Indian products compared to the perception of Chinese products is much higher now. I think made in India in the international market is much better than made in China. Now, also the thought process towards China during this pandemic, that has been a little bit low over the years, I mean, over the last few months. And that, I think, will help Indian exports going forward. So what we need to do is that there are quite a lot of Indian brands. If you see internationally, if you see any Olympics in the last 20 years or maybe 40 years, there has been Indian brand which has been there at Olympics. If you see the international market, I mean, if you see any international event, you will find that there is some product being displayed there. If you see any of the stores all across the globe, you go to any big store and you go to the sporting goods section, you will see something or the other produced from India. So that is the strength of Indian products. And I think right now this is the right time where this potential has increased, and there is a chance that in the next 5 years we can actually grow, maybe double in the next 5 years. I mean, that is the kind of potential which we have. Another thing which is very important and very pertinent at this point of time is the freight rates from China to anywhere in the world, whether it is India or to UK or to US. I mean, the freight rates from China to UK, they have gone up 5 times. And from India, of course, they have gone up, but they have gone up maybe double than what it was before the pandemic. So this also opens up a major opportunity for Indian products. I mean, 2 hours back, I had a phone call from my buyer in England. He wanted to get air freighted weight plates. You know, weight plates is total dead weight, and it is quite expensive to air freight dead weight. But the buyer in England wanted to get the weight plates air freighted because he is not getting the goods from China. And if he is getting those goods from China, the freight rate in any case is very high. So that is the kind of scenario which we are facing right now. The freight rates from China have gone up to anywhere in the globe. So that also opens a lot of opportunity for Indian exports. At Stag, yes, the pandemic, of course, it's not a very good situation to be in, but the business has really grown for Stag. And the reason for that during the pandemic, a lot of people, they were forced to stay indoors, and they needed some sporting activity indoors, and they bought a lot of tables. So all my distributors across the globe, they were short of tables. And I think in my 45 years of business life, I have never seen table tennis business grow in such a big way. I mean, our exports this year are expected to be 250% of what they were in 1920. So, I mean, this is a major opportunity for some of the sectors. If you consider the fitness equipment, I mean, if you see in the last 6 months, there has been a major growth in fitness equipment, not only in India, but also across the globe. I mean, fitness industry has grown by 300% across the globe. What does this mean? This means that although there are challenges because of the pandemic for outdoor sport, but at the same time, a lot of opportunities have opened specifically for indoor sports and fitness. Having said that, what does the customer demand today? See, we have been working with a customer in US for quite some time, and we had been trying to make inroads. Now, this pandemic actually helped us in getting that business because they were not able to get the products elsewhere. Now, where it really helped, that we were able to, in spite of the pandemic, in spite of all the challenges, we were able to serve them well. And once we served them well, it opened the opportunities for us, not only for the regular business which we were doing, it opened the opportunities for us for outdoor tables, for which, I mean, we used to do maybe 5% of our total tables as outdoor tables. Today, we are doing almost 70% of our tables as outdoor tables. So it opened a big opportunity. I mean, in somewhere in one of the slides, it was mentioned that the potential which we are missing for articles of table tennis is somewhere near $3 million. I would say that we have increased our exports by almost $5 million in the last in this financial year. So we have crossed the potential which we had anticipated in the report in 2019, whereby we said that the missing of potential is only 3 million. But if we have been able to increase 5 million, if we have other companies on board, then I think we have far exceeded the potential which we thought was not being tapped by Indian companies. But what do we require? We require that the service has to be good. We require that the quality has to be excellent. And the third thing, that we have to work with ethics. I'm a sportsman. And when we play tennis internationally, we play, most of the times, we play without an umpire. Wherever we have this ITF tournaments, they don't put an umpire. What they expect of you is that when you're going to make a call, you're going to make a good call. You're not going to cheat the opponent. That means you're going to play with ethics. That is what business, international or national, is all about. If you're working with ethics, then there is a big story of growth coming up. Now, I have some figures, here, that if we grow at 18% And if we consider the 5 to 6% inflation, the actual growth is only 12%. And if we grow by 12% year on year, then the exports of sports goods should be 5 times in 10 years than what it is today. And if we are able to somehow, with the support of the government and with a lot of people or some investments coming in, if we are able to grow at 26%, which means that the actual growth is only 20% year on year, then we will be 10 times of the exports in 10 years what we have now, which means that from 2,000 crores, we'll be 20,000 crores in 10 years. And that's a great opportunity. Believe me, we have the opportunity. We have right now the intent of the government. Every day we have discussions whereby the government is saying what is required, and we have banks like Exim Bank who are ready to help us. So let us go. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Rajesh Arora, CEO of Playcraft, to share his experience.
Thank you very
Oh,
much
yes.
to inviting me on this platform. थैंक यू राकेश जी, मेरे कलीग, मेरे दोस्त जिन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से अपने सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर किए. आई एम आल्सो गोइंग टू टेल इन द लास्ट ईयर द टॉय इंडस्ट्री exports is growing a lot. Reasons I don't know, because all the toys, all the children are at home, and everyone from everywhere we got the inquiries, and extraordinary results are there. But I'm here take only 2 to 3 minutes. I note down 2-3 challenges which we are facing as a toy industry, especially. First is all, I'm sharing that we developed in the council, we developed a cluster in nearby Bhiwadi, nearby from Delhi. It is in Delhi NCR. वहां पर फिनेंस का एक इशू है. रीजंस बीइंग कि आज गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया या कोई भी बैंक किसी भी लैंड को कोलैटरल नहीं मानता, जबकि क्लस्टर डेवलपमेंट के लिए ये बहुत रिक्वायर्ड है एज ए एमएसएमई. अ बिग चैलेंज इज फाइनेंस इन टर्म्स ऑफ, अगर कोई एक बड़ा यूनिट जो एक्सपोर्ट के लिए लग रहा है, इफ आई एम बाइंग अ लैंड एंड आई एम पुटिंग 40-50% ऑफ माई सेल्फ, उसको भी उसके बिल्डिंग्स और उस लैंड की बैलेंस पेमेंट के लिए nobody is coming forward to finance it, जबकि मैं उस लैंड का कोलैटरल देने के लिए भी तैयार हूं. they are asking a different collateral as well. Second issue which is, जो दिल्ली एनसीआर से जितना भी एक्सपोर्ट होता है, मतलब टॉय इंडस्ट्री हमारी 75% दिल्ली एनसीआर में, और हमारा सारा जो नियरेस्ट पोर्ट होगा वो या तो मुंद्रा, या भी हम मुंबई के लिए जाएंगे या उसके लिए जाएंगे टीकेडी के लिए. तो जब भी वहां से जाते हैं तो हम लोग ऑलमोस्ट एक कंटेनर पे, मतलब एक एक्सपोर्ट शिपमेंट के ऊपर 10% हम और लोगों से महंगे हो जाते हैं. जो हम लोग चेन्नई और कैलकाटा से हम 10% वैसे ही महंगे हो जाते हैं. और चेन्नई में टॉय इंडस्ट्री नहीं है, जहां डेवलप ज्यादा माल होता हो, ना ही ये पॉसिबल है वहां पर कैलकाटा में. सो ये एक बहुत जबरदस्त चैलेंज है कि हम लोग चाइना के सामने इन छोटी छोटी चीजों को नहीं हैंडल कर पाते, जो कि एक सब्सिडी वहां बहुत जरूरत है, जिसमें एक्सिम बैंक भी एक रोल अदा कर सकता है. सेकंड, एक और छोटी सी जो चैलेंज आता है, तो चैलेंजेस कि जो भी फाइनेंस जनरल एक्सपोर्ट के ऊपर हमें क्रेडिट स्कीम्स मिलती हैं एक्सिम बैंक से, अगर उसका पेमेंट हमें 6 महीने में करना है और एक लो रेट पे सब्सिडाइज मिला है, अगर वो 6 महीने 2 दिन हो जाता है तो पूरे 6 महीने के ऊपर फ्लैट रेट लग जाता है. ये फीडबैक मेरे पास कुछ मेंबर से आए हैं. तो वो 2 दिन के लिए आप पूरा फुल रेट लग जाता है कि अगर कुछ इधर उधर हो जाए. तो ऐसी चीजें हैं जो छोटी छोटी चैलेंजेस बहुत ज्यादा है. इसके अलावा आई वांट टू शेयर दैट मार्केट के अंदर जैसे टॉय इंडस्ट्री तो बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्टेड थी चाइना से, अब नहीं कह सकते, क्योंकि डेफिनेटली मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने काफी कुछ किया है इसके लिए और बहुत ज्यादा आगे कुछ हो रहा है. तो बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल रही हैं हम लोगों को. लेकिन किसी भी किसी भी ट्रेड एग्जीबिशन में जाकर अपने ट्रस्ट को वहां पर बायर के साथ स्टैब्लिश करने में 3 से 4 साल 6 साल लग जाते हैं. वी नीड एक्चुअली असिस्टेंस, एक जबरदस्त असिस्टेंस चाहिए. अगर हमने टॉयज के एक्सपोर्ट्स को बहुत ज्यादा आगे लेके जाना है। तो ये 3-4 चैलेंजेस हैं जिनको मैं आप लोगों से शेयर कर लिया, एंड आई थिंक एंड आई बिलीव कि आप लोग इसमें डेफिनेटली कोई हमारी हेल्प करेंगे। थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience with us. We have now Mr. Jayesh Kimji Ramdia, MD of Premsons Plastics, to share his experience with us.
हमारे साथ आज कोई ना कोई ऐसे लोग होंगे जिन्होंने अपनी जर्नी अभी शुरू की है या शुरू करना चाहते हैं। हमने काफ़ी एक्सपीरियंस्ड एक्सपोर्टर हैं, कोहली सर हैं, उनको सुना और उन्होंने अच्छा शेयर किया। बट if there is a beginner or there are few beginner who can benefit, I would be happy to share my experience with them. So what basically I've done is I'm sharing my life lessons, what I learned through the last 30 years as a manufacturer exporter. And first thing is, why do you want to get into export? So if you want to get into export because government incentive दे रहे हैं, it's glamorous thing, उसमें profit ज़्यादा है, local market काफ़ी crowded है, and you want to go for a bigger market, something like that, और आपके पास excess capacity हो गई है which you want to get rid of. So इसके लिए जाना चाहते हैं, I would say, of course you go for export, but that is not the right reason. Why would you survive rigors of export over a long period of time? The right reason for going for export could be different. The right reason could be one, your passion to learn, your passion to travel, your passion to excel, your personal passion, because passion will give you energy to stick through thick and thin. Export business is unpredictable. पूरी दुनिया में एक कोने में कुछ इम्पैक्ट होती है, उसकी इफेक्ट आपके बिजनेस पे हो सकती है। गवर्नमेंट कुछ एफडीए साइन करती है, उसकी इम्पैक्ट आपके बिजनेस पे हो सकती है। रॉ मटेरियल के रेट, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज फ्लक्चुएशन होता है, आपके इफेक्ट हो सकती है। So it's very rigorous business, and over a period of time, if you are going there for superfluous reason, you may not be able to thrive in that. But if you're going for right reason, it's a wonderful thing to do. I'm an engineer by education, और मैंने काफ़ी अच्छी पढ़ाई की है, लेकिन जो मुझे मेरे ट्रैवल ने सिखाया, मेरे इंटर कल्चरल कनेक्ट ने सिखाया, it broadened my mind and my heart, and that made a lot of difference to my family and my own life. So these are different reasons to get into export, because I would say that is my main profit. I would say you meet fantastic people from across the world. So different reasons. So why is the very important for you to understand. And the second thing question we need to answer is when do you need to get into export? So when is time related, जो दो चार सवाल हैं, तो एक तो your organization should become little mature to deliver in time, right quality. आपकी system और process ठीक है, आपकी team ठीक है, तो you'll be able to keep your commitments. आपने जो first time right quality की commitment की है, timely delivery की commitment की है, वो सारा आप मैच कर सको. If you are struggling with this basic thing, quality, etc., so please wait in the local market, because local market is easier to correct. अपने घर के अंदर का मामला है, अगर बाहर जाते हैं, it is demands are much higher, and वहां से फिर आपका वो replacement वापस नहीं आना है, आपके पैसे कटने हैं, so it's not easy. So I think you should first put your house in the order, do the local market, then second step is start exporting through merchant exporter. Merchant exporters आपको बहुत सिखाएंगे, आपके पैकेजिंग इंप्रूव हो जाएगी, आपकी बाकी जो इश्यूज है वो क्लियर हो जाएंगे. सो और आपका माल विदेशों में जाना शुरू हो जाएगा, वहां से कस्टमर का फीडबैक आना शुरू हो जाएगा. सो डोंट जंप इनटू द फ्री डायरेक्ट and go gradually. Go to the SAARC countries first, then go to Middle East, Africa. Then you, if depending on a product, you can look at US. US has a different markets. US के डॉलर स्टोर है, बिल्कुल कचरा माल बिकता है, और अच्छे स्टोर भी है, वहां पर अच्छे बायर्स भी हैं. So depending on a bandwidth, and I think Europe would be last, because यूरोप में एंट्री मिलने में भी वक्त लगता है, और वहाँ की क्वालिटी रिक्वायरमेंट वगैरह काफ़ी अच्छी हैं, तो that should be the last point to grow into. And time related एक दूसरा है, your speed to market should be very fast. कुछ भी चेंज हो, प्रोडक्ट में चेंज हो, इंटरनेशनली कोई नया प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च हुआ, आपके कॉम्पिटिटर ने चाइना से आया हो और कहीं से आया हो, यू नीड टू रिस्पॉन्ड वेरी फास्ट, यू नीड टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू कस्टमर इंक्वायरी वेरी फास्ट। पहले ऐसा था कि अगर 2-4 दिन में जवाब दे दिया तो अच्छा माना जाता, फैक्स जब चलता था तभी। ईमेल आया बाद में, हम शुरुआत में समझते थे विद इन 24 आवर हम आंसर देते तो अच्छा करते हैं, लेकिन आजकल ये सारे चैट के आगे हैं, पीपल आर एक्सपेक्टिंग टू आंसर विद इन एन आवर, मतलब you cannot be lethargic. So time is of essence in response, and that is a very important part of service. Second thing is, how do you find a buyer? आपको एक्सपोर्ट करना है, बट हाउ डू यू, कैसे आपको बायर मिलेगा? तो पुराने टाइम में तो हम थॉमस रजिस्टर लेते थे, लाइब्रेरी में जाके डेस्क पे बैठ के डेस्क रिसर्च करते थे। आजकल गूगल के जमाने में इट्स बिकम ईजियर टू गो ऑनलाइन एंड फाइंड बायर्स, but up to a point, nothing beats a visit to that country, visit to the marketplace, or if you walk the market, if you visit, suppose आपका डिपार्टमेंट स्टोर में अल्टीमेटली माल बिकता है, यू विजिट कपल ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट स्टोर, यू विल इमीडिएटली रिकॉग्नाइज कि यहाँ किस टाइप का माल बिक रहा है, क्या क्वालिटी का माल बिक रहा है, क्या कलर कॉम्बिनेशन में बिक रहा है, क्या प्राइस पॉइंट पे बिक रहा है माल, और उस पे करीब करीब सारे पैकेजिंग पे इंपोर्टर का नाम वगैरह करीब कभी भी कोई मार्केट्स में होता है तो यू विल गेट सम डेटा, एंड दैट्स अ गुड पॉइंट टू स्टार्ट। यू कैन स्टार्ट विजिटिंग सम ट्रेड शोज, स्टार्ट गोइंग टू डेलीगेशन, ऐसी ईपीसी की डेलीगेशन लेके जाती है बायर सेलर मीट में, you start venturing out, and later you start exhibiting at shows when you're a little bit better prepared, and that is the best way to get your things sorted. And you need to be visible. If you're visible online, if you're visible on different portals, and आपकी वेबसाइट वगैरह ठीक है, सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग आपका ठीक है, तो मेरे ख्याल से बायर्स फिर आपके पास आना शुरू हो जाते हैं। सो दिस इज अ सिंपल प्रोसेस, इज नॉट रॉकेट साइंस। हम में से सभी लोगों ने सिमिलर, मोर और लेस सिमिलर ये जर्नी ट्रैवल की है, एंड ऑल ऑफ अस हैव गेन। तो ऐसा नहीं कि इस बहुत रॉकेट साइंस है, आप भी कर पाएंगे। एंड बेसिकली इट इज one thing, you must be ready to face uncertainties of life. अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट में हैं तो दुनिया भर की कोई भी घटना का आपके बिजनेस पे असर हो सकता है। फॉर एग्जांपल अभी ये लॉकडाउन में जो हो गया था, शिपमेंट्स वर डिलेड, एंड उसकी वजह से लोगों के ऑर्डर के जो इम्पैक्ट हुआ, फाइनेंशियल इम्पैक्ट होता है। यू शुड बी प्रिपेयर्ड एंड यू शुड बी स्ट्रॉन्ग इनफ टू विथस्टैंड सच शॉक्स। उसके बगैर आपको थोड़ा मुश्किल पड़ जाएगा अगर इसमें गए तो, मतलब यू आर एंटरिंग इनटू बिगर अरीना, एंड it is you need to be prepared in terms of competitiveness. For example, can you imagine what is the interest rate जो आपको एक्सपोर्ट के लिए देना चाहिए? तो रुपी में एक्सपोर्ट के लिए आपको as low as 7 to 8% पे पैसा मिलता है, जिसपे 5% इंटरेस्ट इक्वलाइजेशन स्कीम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया देती है। सो इफेक्टिव इंटरेस्ट रेट आपका हो जाता है बिटवीन 2.5 to 3%। नाउ 2.5-3% में पैसा आपको कभी मिलेगा जब आपके बाकी के जो पेपर वर्क है, आपका फाइनेंशियल सिचुएशन ऑल राइट है, तो इतना सस्ता पैसा मिलता है। सो यू नीड टू बी कॉम्पिटिटिव इन मनी, यू नीड टू बी कॉम्पिटिटिव इन योर परचेजेस, यू नीड टू बी कॉम्पिटिटिव इन योर ऑपरेशंस। वेस्टेज के लिए कोई कस्टमर पे नहीं करेगा। इफ यू आर इनएफिशिएंट, यू विल बी अनकॉम्पिटिटिव। सो यू नीड टू बी कॉम्पिटिटिव, यू नीड टू ट्रेन योर पीपल वेल, उनके अपडेटेड होना चाहिए आपका नॉलेज। तो ये बेसिक्स है। दिस इज इफ यू आर प्रिपेयर्ड, sky is the limit, all the rewards are yours. It is very satisfying journey जब आपका माल अच्छी अच्छी ब्रांड्स, अच्छे अच्छे स्टोर्स में बिकता है, अच्छे अच्छे ब्रांड रिकॉग्नाइज करती है। एंड I guess this is the best thing you can do for your business, because worldwide you would have a recognition, and it adds to valuation of your company, it adds to your सारा आपकी लाइफ के वैल्यूज में एडअप हो जाता है। सो आई थिंक वेलकम टू जर्नी, एंड आई एम थैंकफुल टू SGEPC। हमको जो ISPO में लेके जाते हैं या अलग अलग ट्रीटमेंट में लेके जाते हैं, जहाँ पर मार्केट एसेस इनिशिएटिव गवर्नमेंट से मिलता है, BSM में लेके जाते हैं, जहाँ पर अगेन गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट से हमारा बहुत कम खर्चे में अच्छा काम हो जाता है। हमें एक मौका मिलता है कि हमारे दूसरे इंडस्ट्री जो फ्रेटर्निटी उनके साथ ट्रैवल करने का, उनसे सीखने का, तो ये सब माहौल में एक अपने आप बेंचमार्किंग हो जाता है कि और क्या कर रहे हैं, उनकी कैटलॉग कैसी है, मैं ऐसी कैटलॉग बनाऊं, उनका बूथ कैसा है, मेरा बूथ मैं इम्प्रूव करूं। तो ये सब मिलजुल के एक अच्छा ये ग्रो होता है. So I feel this is a good place to start. You must become a member if you're not already a member. And I would request Exim Bank, please SGPC members के लिए, especially most of our SME. तो आपने जो जो presentation की उसमें SME के लिए special जो कुछ निकले, अगर if you are able to based on our sanction letter from other banks, if you're able to improve that and give us some better offers to make us more competitive, because this is the time, sir. अगर अभी लोगों को पूरी दुनिया में चाइना वायरस के हिसाब से जो हैरानगति हुई और गुस्सा है थोड़ा बहुत, अगर आप हमें थोड़ी ज्यादा कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस बनाते हो, हमें सपोर्ट देते हो, हमें गाइड करते हो, हम मेहनत करके माल तो बना सकते हैं, लेकिन आपके सपोर्ट से ये माल पूरी दुनिया में और ज्यादा अच्छा आने की उम्मीद करते हैं. With that, I think I come to end of my presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for these suggestions and, as you said, wonderful life lessons for all of us. We now have the question and answer session, and we have some questions coming in. One question is, what can the state governments do for development of sports goods clusters in their respective states? So maybe someone from the industry maybe can answer this.
सर ये सवाल किसने पूछा है?
I can just see the name Janvi, but I don't know from where they are.
तो सर ये हम कई सदियों से हम वैक्यूम में टॉक कर रहे हैं, या ना कोई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है, न वो कुछ सुनते हैं, सब लोग अपने अपने पॉलिटिक्स में बिजी हैं, सबको पता है क्या करना चाहिए लेकिन वो कर नहीं रहे हैं. तो आई एम सॉरी टू से, लुक एट अवर स्पोर्ट्स कल्चर, अवर कैपिटल फॉर स्पोर्ट्स इज जलंधर. इतने 70 सालों के बाद उसको एयरपोर्ट अभी तक नहीं मिला, अभी शायद कुछ छोटा मोटा मिल रहा है, बट इट इज टेकिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लैगिंग है सर. इतना यू गो टू मेरठ एंड जलंधर, इतना फैंटास्टिक माल बनता है, उनके बाहर को आना इज सो डिफिकल्ट. सो गवर्नमेंट को क्या करना चाहिए, आई थिंक शुड नॉट बी अवर सब्जेक्ट टू टॉक. हमें क्या करना चाहिए इन स्पाइट ऑफ दिस थिंग, वो इनसे सीखे. तो आई बिलीव वी शुड फोकस ऑन व्हाट वी कैन डू. एग्जिम हमारे लिए क्या कर सकती है, हम एग्जिम को कैसे टाइम पे पैसा चुका के बेटर रेट ले सकते हैं, हमें वो डिस्कशन करना चाहिए. और एसजीपी से क्या हेल्प ले सकते हैं वो करना चाहिए, रादर देन गवर्नमेंट को क्या करना चाहिए. बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट को करना चाहिए, गवर्नमेंट को आपसे बेटर मालूम है, लेकिन वो शायद अलग अलग जगहों पे बिजी है फायर फाइटिंग में, उनका ध्यान नहीं है सर इस पर.
Having said that, Jayesh ji, but I think government is doing the bit in the sense that अभी भिवड़ी में जैसे अभी राजेश ने शेयर किया, the toy cluster is coming up. यहाँ पे यूपी में जेवर के पास जो है, जेवर एयरपोर्ट के पास जो है, there is a toy cluster which is coming up. यहाँ मेरठ में बात हो रही है कि स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स एक्सपोर्टर्स के लिए जो है कुछ यहाँ पे एक वो कताई मिल है, काफी टाइम से बंद पड़ी है, उसको जो है स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स एक्सपोर्टर्स को दे रहे हैं. So I think government also is doing their bit, and we have to continuously explore the possibilities where we can get some benefit from the government. So that is what we want basically.
सर हमने एज अ एसोसिएशन बेनिफिट मांगा है गवर्नमेंट से कि आप ये जो जगह है ना वो बेचिए मत, आप एसएमई को लॉन्ग लीज पे अफोर्डेबल कीमत पे प्लग एंड प्ले फैक्ट्रियां तैयार करके दे दीजिए. मैं स्पोर्ट्स गुड मैन्युफैक्चरर हूँ, मेरा काम नहीं फैक्ट्री बनाना, फैक्ट्री खड़ा करना, वो मकान बनाना, लोकल से डील करना, वो मेरा काम नहीं है. वो 5000 फुट 10,000 फुट 20,000 फुट के शेड बना दे, और वो चाइना करता है. चाइना पूरी फैक्ट्री तैयार करके दे देता है, एंटरप्रेन्योर अंदर मशीन वगैरह लेके आता है, अपने स्टाफ को लेके आता है, काम शुरू करता है. तो हम ये रिक्वेस्टेड, गवर्नमेंट इज एक्सेप्टेड दैट रिक्वेस्ट एंड दे हैव अग्रीड कि हम ऐसा प्रोवाइड करना शुरू करेंगे. नंबर ऑफ ठिकाने प्लास्टिक पार्क खड़े कर रहे हैं, लेकिन सर दिस वेरी वेरी स्लो प्रोसेस कंपेयर टू व्हाट आवर कॉम्पिटिटर इन चाइना इज डूइंग. मतलब उनको किए जो आज से 25 साल पहले किया वो आज हम तक बात हो रही है, हमारे यहाँ वो स्किल पे वैसे वो काम हो नहीं रहा है सर.
Sir, we have one more question. Who are the major competitor countries for India in its key markets for sports goods? I think Mr. Tarun Devan, you can address to this question.
As in fact the data was shown, the number one competitor would be China. But if we compare the talking about sports goods and we compare the products that we deal with, like one of our biggest item is inflatable balls. Our biggest competitor is also Pakistan. So and even the cricket, that because these items manufactured in both the countries are quite similar. In fact, in one of the data where you were showing other sport goods, there's a lot of gap. That gap is not only because we're unable to capture the market, but gap is also because we do not have that product range. So that is why in other sports goods, the gap is much larger. But the products that we have, the competition mainly comes from China, Pakistan, Taiwan. These are the places which are the competing countries for our product.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. Sorry.
For table tennis, we have competition from Germany and France as well. I mean, they have big factories in Germany and France, and also in Spain. So we have competition from these from European countries as well.
There's a question from Mr. Sachin Bhaskaran. He's asking how can we improve our sports in terms of research and technology advancement and make use of technology.
We are all aware, and in fact, we have been saying repeatedly that this is a very labor-oriented industry, and we also provide a lot of employment to the labor in this industry. But nonetheless, definitely there's a need for a lot of automation. Like in inflatable balls now, initially they used to be all hand staged, and today most of the units have machine staged balls available with them. So slowly the technology is developing, but I think the rate needs to be much faster, and it can definitely play a bigger role if technology is adopted in the production of these items, which can increase the efficiency. And also we can add the items, like some of the items which are made with composite rackets and all cannot be in India because that will possibly need the technology. So if the technology is adopted, our product basket can also be bigger now.
I would just like to share one.
Yeah, please, Mr. Kohli can add.
Yeah. See, I mean, very recently we got a big order from USA for table tennis tables, and they wanted us to send our table for testing to China. We put our step down. We said, no, we are not going to send it to China, because we thought that why, I mean, we should send our products to China when we can search for the same capabilities in India. So they said, okay, you have to find us a lab. And then we discussed with various labs, and finally Bureau Veritas in Noida, they were able to test the tables. So, I mean, we have the capabilities to do the technological testing and all, and I mean, also for the technological upgradation. Very recently, there has been a big unit which has come near Pune, JSG would know, to manufacture this gymnastic, this multi-gyms and all. So, I mean, there is technological advancement happening. And if you see, traditionally, India has been focusing on sports like inflatable balls and cricket equipment. But people who have moved away from these sports, they have really done well. So we need to move from this labor-intensive to semi-automation to be really successful in the international market.
Thank you, sir. Another question we have: which product segment is more amenable for export market? Hello.
So can I add a comment to the earlier question?
Yeah, sure, sir. Please go ahead.
So visiting technological shows abroad, visiting your competitor in China, both of which are possible. You go as a buyer, Chinese factories are open to see. Once you see it, it's easier to understand what could be your next 5-year program. And that is the way you'll be able to update your technology much easier and faster.
Yeah, the next question we have is: which product segment is more amenable for export market share? Shift from China to India in short term, and what is to be done? Mr. Tarun Dewan, if you could.
Yeah. Again, as you have already shown the chart where the products that you are manufacturing are shown. Now, it's very difficult to pinpoint a particular product. If you, as JG rightly said, if you manufacture a product well, which has acceptable quality, and you manufacture it efficiently, then definitely it has a market somewhere in the world. So it will be very difficult to say any particular product that this is what you should start manufacturing. It depends on your capabilities and your investment capacity, what you want to manufacture today. But whatever you do it well and efficiently, and I'm sure there will be market for that. And yes, I would like now the time is for also the semi-automation. Choose a product where some technology can be used so that you can do it more efficiently. Yeah, Rakesh is adding something.
Yeah, I just like to add, because traditionally, if you see many years back, we had this company known as Carbon Composite, which came near Calcutta, and they used to produce these tennis rackets for Mizuno at that time. And now, very recently, about 2 years back, Yonex has opened up a factory for badminton rackets near Bangalore. So, which means that if the right technology is there, there is a possibility, and there is everywhere. As Jayesh said, that you can go to visit factories in China and see the technology and bring it here. So, if somebody has the motivation, if somebody has the inclination, the way is always there. The inclination has to be there.
Yeah, just to add here, as Rakesh mentioned, that there is some factory which has come up here, Pune, for the fitness equipment. In fact, the government also is right now trying to talk to the fitness industry, because there are a lot of gym equipment which is being imported. So under the Atmanirbhar Bharat program, the government is trying to talk to the importers and also manufacturers that if part of it can be indigenized, and they are also working on the model to support that in some way. I don't know how it comes up, but there is some thought process going on in the government to support the industry that manufacturing happens in India. So anybody looking for something new, look at the fitness industry, the equipment that is being imported. Even if you can import some part of it and manufacture rest of it, you will get some government support also on that.
And if you have the inclination, I think very shortly we will be the first company in India to be producing table tennis tables with robots. So, if you have the inclination, the way is there. You have to see, you have to think ahead. You have to see how you can serve the international market. And if you have to serve the international market, what kind of production capacities you have to have. And if you don't have those production capacities, you have to find a way to get them. And if you can find a way, I think that is the way forward.
There's another question. Are the non-tariff barriers a challenge for the industry? Maybe Lathan sir, you could address to this question.
Yes, there are challenges and there are also opportunities. If you consider table tennis tables, then these non-trade barriers which are coming for Chinese products to USA, they are in fact a benefit for India, because the duties if you import from China are higher than the duties which you pay when you import from India. So I think somewhere it is helpful, and somewhere some other places but what happens is that it is a global market. So, you cannot say that, okay, we are going to increase the duties on imported products in India, and at the same time, we want that our products should go to USA without any duties. These are two different things. So, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to support our Indian industry by bringing in barriers, and at the same time, we are requesting our importers to remove the barriers. That cannot happen. So, I think, there is a big thing going on in the Indian circles right now, that the import duties need to be increased. But if we increase those import duties, I think it will have a major impact on our exports. So we have to be aware.
Okay, see, in addition to the tariffs, as the question also says, non-tariff barriers, most of the non-tariff barriers relate to the quality standards. Now, if you're exporting to Europe, there will be different quality standards which you need to meet. If you're exporting to US, they have a different quality standards. So your products need to adhere to those standards. As Rakesh rightly said, that challenge can actually be turned into opportunity. If you meet those standards, then the market is yours, because other markets also exporting to those markets will need to meet those standards. So it's a challenge, but if you meet those standards, your products pass those testings, it can be an opportunity for you.
I would say that it is an opportunity. It is a big opportunity, Kunalji. See where I am coming from. Very recently, we had this big business opportunity in US again. And the customer, what he said? He said, Rakesh, what are we heading to? See, if we don't have these barriers, if we don't have this testing, if we don't have these quality standards, then the whole globe can supply. But if we have these barriers, then we are limited to 3 or 4 companies, and we are one of those 3 or 4 companies. So the competition comes down as soon as these non-trade barriers come in. But then you have to have that kind of competence that you can meet these non-trade barriers as well.
Right. One last question we will take, and I think that the member of the audience wants us to make a prediction. He's asking, when does India see a golden era in the sports goods business, sports goods exports?
The biggest opportunity is now. 30 years back, when we used to go for our for exporting our products, Then, I mean, I remember that we met a German buyer and we showed him one of our products. And he said, "Sport goods from India? No, I'm sorry." And the same buyer, a few years later, he said, "I beg of you to kindly send me the prices of this item." I mean, he said beg of you, not because he actually wanted to beg, but because he was a German and his English was not so good. But you know what really changed these things? The IT sector at that point of time, it changed the perception of India in a big way. Now, if we have some support from the government at this moment, like we have the support for toys, if we have similar support for sports goods, I think the time is now, and the golden era will start coming maybe 3 years or 4 years or 5 years down the line. But for that, we need the right thought process, we need the right support, we need the right intent from the government to make it happen.
Sir, we spoke about perception and we got another question, and we'll make this as the last question now. Why are Indian sport goods exporters unable to build global brands? Mr.
Again, I
Devan,
think
you are-
Rakesh is the right person to answer, but let me just add a little bit. Say, building brands is a very expensive proposition. Building brands is not only quality, quality is the first step, but then building global brand requires a lot of finances. Now, Rakesh ji has a lot of good suggestions, which we have also given to the government, that we said that any international tournament happening, if there is a mandate by the government that if the tournament is happening in India, only Indian brand can be used, provided, of course, they meet all international, quality standards. Then your brand will be visible, and that's how you will build your brand over a period of time. So there is one part is finances, and second is the visibility. So Indian players so far, most of them are in MSME. So spending that amount of money like possibly Adidas or Nike or these brands do, it's not possible for these MSME players. So that's why you don't see the Indian brands in the global arena. But again, Stag is one brand which is exporting globally only in its own brand. They're not supplying to any international brand. So they have already done a beginning, and I'm sure there's a long way to go. But this is how the Indian brands will develop over a period of time.
Okay, I think that was the last
What I would like
question.
to add here is that,
Sure, sir, please.
Kunalji, I still have to put in my inputs on this. Being an exporter with an Indian brand and being very passionate about Indian brands, I would like to answer a little bit. We have Indian brands and we have brand India. What do we want? What do we want to do? We want to build brand India with Indian brands. So promoting Indian brands to promote brand India, that is what we want to do. And for that, we need all the support from the government. We need all the support from our banks. We need all the support from our public to make Indian brands global, to make brand India through Indian brands. Thank you so much.
Very well said. We are getting more questions, but I would request the members of the audience, you can send us the questions later and we will directly forward it to our speakers. Due to paucity of time, while now we'll come close to this webinar. I now request Mr. David Senate, Chief General Manager, India Exim Bank, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Before I propose the vote of thanks, I may just share that in Exim Bank of India, we have a few die-hard table tennis players, and I may share with Mr. Rajesh that we are using a Stag International beautiful table. Well, Mr. N. Ramesh, Deputy Managing Director, Exim Bank, India, Sri Tarun Devan, Executive Director, Sports Goods Export Promotion Council, respected members of the industry, and ladies and gentlemen. As we come to the close of today's webinar on taking Indian sports goods businesses to the global arena, it gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. And on behalf of India Exim Bank, I express my heartfelt gratitude to the Sports Goods Export Promotion Council and the esteemed speakers from the industry for initiating a discussion on this sector. We very much value your insightful inputs as well as the very valuable observations by the speakers today, which have added immense value to this webinar. I also take this opportunity to thank my colleagues for making insightful presentations, which have highlighted several priority areas of concern that need to be addressed to make the sector competitive in export markets. I am confident that this roadmap will guide policy making and give an impetus to sports goods sector. I also take this opportunity to extend our sincere thanks to the audience of representatives from industry for attending the webinar. We immensely value your active participation during the questions and answers session. Last but not the least, I would like to express my appreciation for the Indian Exim Bank team for all the hard work in putting this event together. We sincerely hope that this webinar has been fruitful and insightful for all the participants present here and has provided lots of food for thought to all the stakeholders for designing the broad contours of actionable strategies for enhancing exports of sports goods from India. Once again, thank you all for your participation in today's webinar. Thank you and good evening.